Yeah. Still too heavy,
Oh,
man. Hey, what about removing the hat?
The hat. Okay, I don't need the hat.
Yeah.
Great. Off.
But it is pretty sunny today, and you don't want to get burnt.
UV rays.
Yeah,
okay.
dangerous.
Better put that back on.
Especially in New Zealand.
Okay.
Oh, how about the watch?
The watch. It doesn't even work. It's just for looks anyway. Okay. The watch can come off. That's fine. Easy to take watches off, you know? You just have to stick around a little bit. There you go.
I'm a bit uncomfortable with that. Like the bare wrist.
You don't like it? I mean, I guess it's not a nude beach, is it? Okay. Yeah, it's a bit embarrassing. Well,
put it back on.
Okay.
And
I'm starting to see why the Emira has held on to some of its weight now.
The founder of Lotus, Colin Chapman, once said, "Simplify and add lightness." He was British, I don't know what he actually sounds like. And while the Emira tips the scales beyond the Lotus of old, that 1,458 kilograms is comprised of things that matter to the modern buyer and to a brand seeking wider appeal. So the question becomes, is it still fun to drive?
That's 100. Man, what a racket.
Jeez, 5.5.
5.5, okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, to be fair, that's two of us in the car. The roads are wet.
Very wet. I felt that it lose a bit of traction right at the start. That slap back going from first to second was just like,
What an experience, man. The thing is, that is still fast. I mean, look, if we had dry roads and there's one of us in the car, easily a 4.5 second car, which is what they kind of claim. But Lotus, they're not going for a straight line speed records here. It doesn't matter what the time was. I don't care about the numbers. You know?
Yeah, that's the sound, man, and it's weird that it's behind you because it reverberates like through the entire.
I know.
Structure.
The thing about this car is that even just going straight is an experience in of itself because of all the sounds behind you, the buzzing, the vibrations, the supercharger whine. We haven't even gotten to a corner yet, you know?
Yeah.
There's so much more to cover about the way this car drives. But first I want to talk about something else that brings us joy. The way this thing looks.
What a timeless design. Kind of like my watch, which doesn't work. It's timeless. I mean, I can't think of anything in this price range that is as good looking as this.
It is, it's absolutely gorgeous. The contouring and like the contrast.
It's nuts.
It's truly like supercar looking material.
It looks so much more expensive than it is. And a few people have said that. It looks like $1 million car when it's not.
It'll be James Bond's runabout, his weekend runabout. That's what he uses it for. Yeah.
And this front 3/4 shot is the money shot. Like I just wish it was always on this angle just constantly. Like even if you're driving straight. It's just so good. A couple of details that really stand out to me. The first are these kind of nostrils, I guess.
Very swoopy.
Yeah, they're such a defining feature that doesn't upset the elegance of the front end.
Yeah, man. I'd refer to them as gills personally, given that, a Lotus is an aquatic plant.
And the other thing is, because there's no engine up front, the whole nose just disappears in front of you. So when you're looking over the steering wheel, you just see these big shoulders sticking out.
Yeah, man.
And it's such a cool look.
In a similar vein to the front of the car, this diverging line, which sort of cups around this...
air intake. Yeah. Everything kind of flows and leads to that, doesn't it? Like, you just want to climb in.
Oh, man. Like, you could fit a whole family of owls in there. It'd be beautiful. I mean, it wouldn't be good for the car
It wouldn't be good for the car or the owls, no.
But
But you could feasibly do that. Yeah, it really is a striking feature. And it's most obvious when looking at through the side mirror, because you just see this gaping hole and these massive wide hips.
Yeah.
It's just a really cool view of the car.
Yeah.
What that leads to is the whole side profile having a very kind of deliberate shoulders up front, tucked waist in the middle, and then these wide hips at the back. It seems, like this...
Yeah, what are the measurements on this bad boy?
Yeah, it feels like they've gone for something there, but it really works.
Yeah, a little bit sultry, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
She's an enticer.
Yeah, she is. Now, the rear end is also really good looking. It doesn't have the same impact as the front 3/4 for me. And I think that's down to two things. One, is there's quite a lot of empty space here.
Yes.
Where, look, I get that it's going for simple and elegant, but I don't know, it feels like it's...
Weirdly, in all of the media I saw, I thought, why did they put the badging up here? It looks a little bit funny, but in person, it makes sense because anyone over like 4'3" would be looking down onto it, and it looks great from upon high.
I don't want to imply that it's not a good looking rear end. I think it's stunning still.
I really like it when they link different design elements in terms of materials, especially between different parts of the car.
Yeah.
So what they've got on this rear like casing or whatever we're going to call it, they've got this honeycomb lattice, and you can even feel the heat coming off the engine. I hadn't noticed that before.
Yeah.
But they've linked that down here as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
dude, you are a sucker for that consistency, aren't you? You notice those details, which is weird because you're not a car person.
I'm not a car person.
But you're a detail person.
Yeah.
It kind of brings me on to point number 2, which is, this is a mid-engine vehicle, meaning the engine is near the back. And the coolest part about these is always awesome. You can see through and look at the engine, right?
Yeah.
And
she right there.
Yeah, and it is right there, and it's cool. But what I love to see in these kind of cars are when you can see it's like innards and pipes and like bits and pieces in its bloody pancreas. And in this, there's some of that, but it's largely hidden and quite dark.
You get to like peek through the curtains at the fair maiden, but you don't get the full show.
Yeah.
It's beautiful and alluring without like necessarily giving you it all. So.
Yeah, but you only really notice the engine or lack of visibility of the engine up close. However, there's one really cool part about this engine and its view that you can only see from the inside. Look at this, ready?
That little cable thingy moves.
So, if you look at any picture of any old Lotus, you'll see that there's a huge difference here. Mostly that it's not like a bathtub with some dials and a steering wheel. Like, this is nice now. Because we have a bunch of creature comforts in here now. We have a decent touchscreen with wireless CarPlay. We have premium soft touch materials. We have nice speakers. We have all these things that we've come to expect. And it's so important because these are the places where the Emira could have gained weight. And they made a deliberate decision to include these things.
This brushed aluminium
for the speaker covers.
Of the speaker covers. Really like that. And so different. In fact, like there's almost no scratchy plastic as far as the eye can see.
Yes, I know. And we've become scratchy plastic connoisseurs. Yes. We always point that out straight away. Yeah.
Another thing I do appreciate it is if you're an art collector, there's a perfect space for your portraits or whatever just here to like.
There's nothing else you could fit in there, right?
No. Yeah.
Portrait or nothing. Yeah. Agreed.
Paintings, yeah.
A couple of details that really stuck out at me is one, there's a center line in the steering wheel, right? Even though it's not contrasted, so you can't actually see where the center line is.
You can feel it.
That's fine. But it matches up nicely with the strip in the dash. And something about that is quite satisfying. Yeah, I don't know. It's a small detail, but I like it.
To me, the inside of it is kind of like, I'm going to use a James Bond metaphor again. It's like a tuxedo, right? Because in a tuxedo, it's got white shirt, like black tie, black jacket, etc. It's kind of like a tuxedo on the inside.
Yeah, it kind of is. But what's crazy about that is that these are words that you'd never think to utter about a Lotus.
Yep.
And so that is really quite indicative of the repositioning or the slight evolution they've got here.
Yeah.
Where, yes, the weight is not as light as it used to be 20 years ago, but this is lovely. And, I care about these things personally.
Totally,
I'm not hardcore enough to be like, just give me a steering wheel and a rubber bloody can. That's all I need.
Let me pedal the ground with my feet like Fred Flintstone.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I think it's a bet that is probably going to pay off for them.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And it's there's beauty and simplicity in this vehicle.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like they don't go over the top with it, which is so important. Like if we came in here and it was garish and there was flashing lights everywhere and stuff, then that would be a The fact that this is supercharged, I think, adds a lot of its character, because basically what that means is that it feels almost naturally aspirated, like old school sports cars used to.
Okay.
So as long as you're in the power band, which I'll get into now, there's like an almost instant throttle response there, right? Whereas in turbocharged vehicles, there's usually that delay waiting for the turbo to kick in. And it really rewards you for revving it out, because it just builds and builds and builds, and it reaches this crescendo, and then you start it all over again in the next gear. And like, it just makes every gear like a bit of a journey, Like, what's not to like about that?
It does continue to build. It reminds me of the RS4, was it?
Yes, that's right. The V8 one?
Yeah. Yep. It just kept on building and building, and you're like, is it hitting yet?
Yeah, and then of course, we've got this manual transmission, which is first of all just a wonder that it even exists, right? Like such a tiny percentage of cars today are sold with a manual transmission. Just the actual process of rowing through these gears is so satisfying. The gearbox has this lovely clunk as you put into each gear.
Like you're directly actually involved with the car performing to the level that you've got it at.
Yeah. Rather than, using automatic shift paddles, which is just sending ones and zeros. But Andy, you can forget about all that other stuff I just talked about for a second, because easily done. I forgot it anyway, mate. What are we talking about?
Where are we?
Because by far the most charming thing about this car for me is its steering feel. It has a dialogue with you. This thing is talking back to me. You can feel the undulations in the road. I didn't realize how artificial and synthetic and removed all the other cars we've been driving are until I got onto this. And the reason why this is such a dramatic difference in the steering feel is because of its hydraulic setup. There are very, very few cars left that have a hydraulic steering setup. And so, again, it's a feather in the cap for this car, adding to its sort of list of rarities. Putting this thing through corners really just wakes that feeling up even more. I mean, once you get used to the fact that this is, rear biased and feels a bit different to what you're normally driving, once you're in sync with it, you can just thread this thing through corners, and it's so fun.
Something I would say about it is you really do feel that it's a rear-wheel drive. It does feel like there's an inertia that sits behind you and like pushes you along rather than being pulled along at like sort of the same time.
And it's also in the corners where so many things fall into place about this car that just work in harmony. Like the chassis dynamics, the suspension, like I said before, the handling, the tires, the brakes, everything just kind of works harmoniously to the point where you can just forget about everything else. Nothing in particular sticks out anymore.
No.
You can just enjoy the drive. So yeah, I mean, Lotus really do honor what they say on the tin, which is that this is for the drivers. It is really a driver's car. And sure, you can get that feeling in a Porsche, but they're a dime a dozen. You see millions of Porsches. You could also get that in a McLaren, but you're spending really big bucks to get that. And so again, I think at this price point, it's just such a good value proposition. Like I said, it looks way more expensive than it is. It drives, it's not going to win any bloody races, but it's so much fun that I don't care. And I think that's what Lotus is now all about.
Well done, Lotus. Well done.
It's definitely fun over figures. Some of the other Lotuses coming out are electric, and that's so interesting to me because with an EV, there's no hiding the weight, right? And so Lotus can't possibly claim that we're the simple, lightweight, sports car of yesteryear.
With a 2-ton battery.
Exactly. And so that's why I actually think, again, there's some genius business proposition in this car because they're not going for ultra lightweight. This is kind of like a stepping stone to those in a way,
Okay, I get you.
Andy, I kicked off this video with a bit of a tongue-in-cheek thing about taking my hat off to save weight.
And here you are putting it back on.
Not that I need it in this weather, but I put it back on so I could take it off again.
Oh, this is confusing.
Right? Because I wanted to say hats off to Lotus for making
well
such an engaging car.
Yeah.
They are few and far between these days. And this one happens to be available right now at Lotus Auckland.
Oh, awesome.
So if you're one of those people that happen to be going on about, I wish cars, they made proper sports cars, the manual transmission, and the engaging feel, well, now you've got it. This is it. So
put your money where your mouth is.
Exactly.